Now, what are some of the ways that you can protect real estate, whether it be your home or real estate in general? In this video, I'm going to discuss 4 different ways, primary ways, that you can extend some level of protection, some level of privacy to your real estate. And then a surprising 5th that I've recently come across. Now, first and foremost, I always recommend to clients that they have plenty of insurance on their properties. And when you're talking about your home, HO3 is the code is used for a homeowner's insurance policy. These types of policies, and in general real estate, there's going to be some level of protection on the dwelling. And so usually full replacement is what you purchase for the dwelling in case there's some type of a catastrophe on the property, but also incidents like vandalism or other types of damage are protected. Now, also under these types of property, you're going to have some level of personal liability, some liability insurance. And so that's in case you are sued for some reason as a result of your negligence. Usually there's some level of coverage there under most policies. And also your personal items, lastly, will be covered usually on your insurance policies. And you can get an endorsement, some type of an addendum on your insurance to cover certain things like diamond rings and computers. Now, in addition to the typical types of coverages you receive on an insurance policy, you can also purchase extended coverage called an umbrella policy that will extend even further those protections that you get under your normal insurance policy. Now, the next type of protection that I would consider would be only for your primary residence, and that's a homestead. Now, homesteads are creatures of statute. They're created by state law. And each state will create some level of protection in the equity of your property. I can give you an example. For instance, in Massachusetts, when you buy a piece of real estate and you live there as your primary residence, you have to live there, you can receive an automatic homestead protection of up to $125,000. Now, when you file a declaration of homestead at the Registry of Deeds, then your protections bump up to $500,000 of protection. And what is the protection? The protection is in the equity of your real estate in general. What is equity? Well, equity is that fair market value, the present value of your real estate that isn't encumbered or doesn't have a loan amount on it. So for instance, if you have a mortgage on your property and you pay $1 toward the principal of that mortgage, you have $1 of equity in your real estate. Homestead laws in general, at least in Massachusetts, will protect you against unsecured creditors. Now, an unsecured creditor is a creditor like a credit card company or someone that's suing you civilly. Let's say, for instance, and your insurance is not covering the amount of the suit. Those are unsecured creditors. Loans that involve mortgages are secured creditors. So homesteads protect you against unsecured creditors. And what a homestead does is prevents them from forcing you to sell your primary residence in order to pay them off. So if there is a lawsuit pending against you, those folks have to sit and wait until you do something with your real estate. They can't force the sale of your real estate to pay them. So that's a homestead. Now, the third topic, or the third way that you can try to protect yourself with real estate, would be a trust. Now, a trust, if you've seen some of my prior videos, and you should watch those if you haven't, I go into detail as to what trusts are and what's involved. But in general, a trust is a fiduciary relationship that is usually created in writing. And with the trust setup, an asset is usually placed into trust for management by an individual or individuals called a trustee for the benefit of other people called beneficiaries. Now, in general, there are 2 typical categories of trust that we discuss. There's revocable or irrevocable trust, or revocable and irrevocable trust, as I like to say. When it comes to a revocable trust, these trusts are usually flexible in nature. You can change the trustees that manage the trust. You can change the people that are involved with the trust, the beneficiaries, in other words. You can also change the assets that are located inside that trust. Now, with an irrevocable trust, these trusts are usually more structured. You usually can't change the trustees that are involved unless you reserve that power. You usually can't change the beneficiaries that are involved unless you reserve that power. And you usually can't pull assets out once you put them in. Now, when it comes to levels of protection for your real estate, revocable trusts really aren't a great vehicle to use. And the reason is a lot of times you can be the trustee of that trust, and you have a lot of flexibility with these trusts. You can change the people that are involved. You can change trustees if it isn't you. Even if it is you, sometimes you can change the trustees. You can change the beneficiaries that are involved. And once assets are put in, you can take them out. And for that reason, revocable trusts are broken all the time in court, and they're not a great level of protection. They give you one level of privacy, but it's not a surefire way to protect your assets. Irrevocable trusts, on the other hand, are a little bit better of a vehicle. They are sometimes broken, but they are very structured. And the idea is you have separated yourself from that asset. Typically, the trustee in an irrevocable trust is not you. And so, therefore, creditors usually have a harder time getting at assets inside irrevocable trusts. And they do provide some level of protection, but the problem is you're separating that asset from yourself, and you don't have any control. So there's an issue there. Now, keep in mind, folks, these are general terms. In order to properly discuss these issues in detail, you would need to engage an attorney that's versed in these areas in your state. Now, the next method I would discuss or consider in protecting real estate would be to form an entity called an LLC, or a limited liability company. And just in general, folks, these are entities that are formed at the Secretary of State's office with an articles of organization, and you can either treat them like a partnership or like a closely held corporation called an S corporation. And with these types of entities, the members are extended what we call a corporate veil. And so their personal assets are typically shielded from the activities that the LLC engages in. And LLCs in general are a great way to protect real estate. And it would just mean that that piece of real estate that's housed in the LLC would be involved in any potential lawsuits or subject to any creditors. And it wouldn't be the other assets that belong to the member of the LLC, the personal assets, in other words. And now for the surprise type of a creation that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and that is a revocable trust that has a trustee that is an LLC. Now, I've just recently come across this method, and from what I understand from colleagues that do a lot of litigation, it's a very effective tool. And in essence, the real estate would be housed in the realty trust or the revocable trust. And if a creditor was looking at that revocable trust, all they would see for the trustee would be the LLC, which is a shield, remember, for the personal assets of the members of the LLC. And this is an effective way to protect a piece of real estate and create the flexibility of transfer and the flexibility of management that you might be seeking. The issue that you might have is if one of the members or the only member of the LLC were to pass away, there might be some probate issues involved. And this is still an effective way to protect real estate, but it's typically investment properties that are in this type of an entity. Now, if you're watching me on Facebook, make sure that you like the video. If you're watching me on YouTube, make sure you subscribe in the lower right-hand corner. Make sure you check out the links that I've included in the description of this video. They'll be related to the issues that we discussed. And if you're watching me on YouTube, make sure that you check out the videos that will be appearing here, as they will be related to the issues that we discussed in this video. Dave Ceruolo, CeruoloLaw.com.